Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start your smokers. The May long weekend is upon us, and we are here to give you great grilling tips and perfect wines to go with your grilling. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Hi everyone, I'm Erin Henderson, the founder and chief sommelier here at the Wine Sisters, and welcome to our channel where we teach you how to eat, drink, and entertain like a pro. Today I am being joined by Kyle. Kyle, this is Kyle's second time back on, I was gonna say the podcast, but this isn't a podcast at all. It's Kyle's second return. I have a great video from about a year, maybe 2 years ago, where Kyle showed us how to put together a fantastic cheese plate. If you wanna take a look at that, just ding right here and you can see how to do a cheese plate. But today, we're talking smoking.
That's right, that's my world.
That's your world, because you just started a brand new restaurant called the Southern Crown Caribbean Smokehouse.
Yeah, that's right, we're super excited about that. Got that old school Southern flair and a little bit of Caribbean flair in there as well. So yeah, we're really excited opening this week.
Southern flair in Canada.
That's right, yeah. Southern flair in Canada, Caribbean flair in Canada.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you what, let's dive right in, because for those of you who are tuning in from Canada, you know that we have the May long weekend coming up. The United States, of course, also has a long weekend in May. This is the time when people start their gardens, open their cottages, clean out their garages. This is actually the unofficial kickstart to summer. So, being that people are going to be doing a whole lot of outdoor cooking, can you tell us right off the top, what's the difference between smoking, barbecuing, and grilling?
Yeah, no, so this is a really interesting question, and I just learned the difference from this too. So smoking and barbecue in the South is the same thing. So if you say barbecue, they're talking about that down south, southern smoke feel. And if you're doing like hamburgers, hot dogs, steaks, they call that grilling. If you were to call that barbecue, they get a little offended.
They get their back
up about that. So grilling is the nice steaks, the having a grill out, having a cookout type of thing. And then smoking and barbecue is that southern smoke, low and slow on the smoker.
Like the ribs, the pulled pork, all of that stuff.
Exactly.
For beef and darker meat specifically, what I really like is a very not often heard of wine. It's called Carmenere, and it's from Chile. It did sort of start its life hundreds of years ago in France, but Chile has really taken it upon itself and on its own. This particular one is called Escudo Roja. This is from Baron Philippe de Rothschild, who is, that family is obviously a French family that set up shop as well in Chile. But you wanna try some of this? I really, really like Carmenere, even though people have a tendency to think about other wines. I like Carmenere because it does have all of that deep, rich, ruby red fruit, lots of cassis and all kinds of stuff. But for me, I get a nose of steak spice all the time from this specific grape. I find that this grape really throws a lot of almost like HP sauce, like that tamarind note. We get a little bit of that sort of sweet and spicy steak sauce note. And then even on the palate, you get that kind of savory element. It's not just all the ripe, jammy fruit coming to the forefront. There's a little bit more of that pepper spice, and there's a lot more of that, I guess, yeah, that Worcester tamarind spicy note.
Yeah, the peppery and the tamarind, I really get that sort of, once you said tamarind, you sort of get that. It would go great with Caribbean food.
It would go great with Caribbean food, a lot of those jerk spices.
Would you like this wine with something that was like sweeter? Because that is a part of barbecue, right? You either get a little bit of heat or you get a little bit of sweet, and that's sort of the play that you want. Is there's a lot of sweet stuff. That would be why we're doing like the beef and the cola. You bring that cola down almost into a syrup and you make it sweet. So
I do like that idea. All right, so I also want to ask you a couple questions. So you have, and this is also going to be on thewinesisters.com. We have sent it out into our newsletter, but you have 10 tips. But give us your number one tip, which I have written right here. Right here, Kyle's top 10 tips. These are gold for really nailing your smoke out. So, and I'm gonna say the number one here is use clean smoke. If you can only do one thing, it's the clean smoke.
That's the number one. Everybody thinks because you're smoking something, it has to be too much smoke or smoking it the whole time. The most smoke you can trap in there as possible. That's not the case. I smoke for maybe, the first hour in a long smoke. Today, I smoked for about 2 hours, but really lightly with just a few chunks of wood. That dirty smoke flavor, that too much smoke flavor, it gets bitter, it gets filmy on your palate.
Kind of like that greasy, resiny,
That's
yucky.
exactly right. So don't use as much wood as you think you need. smoke for less time than you think you need, and make sure that you have a nice clean fire going. You can tell by looking at the smoke, you almost want it to be nice and clear as it's coming off of your smoker.
Like when they decide a new pope.
That's correct. That one might be a little too dark.
But if I just want to go home and smoke my steak or something, what do I do?
Yeah, so you could MacGyver it on your barbecue. All you need is some nice charcoal, some lump charcoal, a natural way to get it started, and you just bring it up to temperature, offset your steak on no heat at all, let your smoke roll through until, if you're just doing a few steaks, like it would really be just a very short amount of time.
And then you have to finish it off by grilling it, right?
Course,
like you can't just, smoking is not the end all and be all.
That's not the end all and be all.
That's just
right.
a portion of cooking your meat.
That's right. Or you can just, another tip is just using a charcoal grill. Charcoal grills are great, they give you that natural flavor, and you sort of get that smokiness from it because that is charcoal is wood that has been burnt into charcoal.
And you say never wet wood?
No, wet wood is the devil of smoking. What that wet wood does is it causes the wood to smoke more, right? Because it's not catching on fire. And what gives you a nice, it's not catching on fire is easy. And what gives you that nice smoke is a nice hot burn. That's what gives you that clean smoke. And when you're putting something wet in there, it's slowing down the heat and it's not catching on fire quick enough and it's giving you that like musky, thick smoke.
Well, now you smoke everything though, like from darker meats like game and beef through to fishes and vegetables?
Yeah, and that's different too. Like I'll use different types of wood, I'll use different methods. But yeah, you can smoke everything, but it's like anything. It's depending on what it is, and it's the same for wine, I guess, right? Is how heavy you want to go on the smoke or how heavy you want to go on the flavor, as opposed to how light you want to go with fish. It's something that's very light, maybe a little citrusy. Maybe you use elderberry wood as opposed to something that's a stronger wood. That's
cool. I've never heard. I've heard of apple wood, cherry wood. Never heard of elderberry wood.
Yeah, so that's sort of something that I would use only for fish, and I would do it very, very lightly.
I am going to move into some great more wines. I'm going to show you that this is one of my favorites to showcase. This is a Gamay. It's from Beaujolais, which is of course in the southern area of Burgundy. Beaujolais, being from the Gamay grape, this is going to be bright. It's light. It has lots of juicy, fresh fruit in it. There's a little underscore of black pepper spice. And I think this goes really nicely with everything from your charcuterie board. So if you've decided to do your own smoked charcuterie at home, if you decide to get a little bit fancy, you can do that. But it also goes really nicely with more things like cedar plank salmons and fish that you might want to be considering smoking. As well, when we're talking about, when we get into more of the vegetables, Sauvignon Blanc, right? Like, how can you go wrong? Sauvignon Blanc is always going to be your get out of jail free card with almost any vegetable, but specifically those summertime centric vegetables, things like asparagus. When you're grilling some green peppers, Sauvignon Blanc is going to be a fantastic get out of jail free card for you. It's also a nice summertime drink because the heat is on. You chill this down, thirst quenching, it's beautiful. And then finally, I also brought, this is a local one, this is a rosé. This is from Niagara, Ontario, Canada. Of course, you can get beautiful rosés from California, obviously from the King Daddy of France and Provence and Languedoc and places like that. But you can get a great rosé from anywhere in the world. This one is dry, fresh, crisp. It's done with Pinot Noir, so it does actually have a little bit more color on it than you'd expect. It does come in almost a light cranberry kind of color as opposed to that delicate baby aspirin pink kind of color. But I think that this will be really flexible with anything from like those turkeys to the vegetables. And you can even get away with when you're having some kind of ribs or pork loin, something like that. So before we bid adieu to everybody, I do want to ask you a couple more questions about smoke, and I want to continue to drink.
Drinking sounds like a good
Drinking
idea.
sounds like a great idea.
Answer some questions too.
Yeah. Okay. So you say there's always going to be a time, you call it master the stall. Really quickly, what does that mean and how do people master it?
Okay, so the stall, that's when you're cooking bigger cuts of meat, like your briskets, your pork shoulders, or
So
your picnic
big
shoulders,
cuts.
your big cuts. And so you're trying to get to an internal temperature that's in around 200, 198 to 206. That's like your finishing time. But usually when you get to the 160 mark, the meat just decides that it's going to stop cooking for a while. Like, it's decided that there's no more, that it's stopped. Now what you do is you don't panic. You understand that that's part of what this is. This is part of what you've signed up for.
Okay. Patience is key.
Patience is key. Don't fiddle with your temperature to try to make it cook faster. You either wait it out, or there's two methods that you can use. The one that I like is I'll take it out, I will wrap it in butcher's paper. I will put it back on the smoker.
And it won't catch on fire?
It will not catch on fire because when you're doing big cuts like that, you're smoking at 225, 230. You're very slow. And what that does is it sort of helps it steam itself and moisten itself in that package while still cooking.
Okay.
And then the other option,
like boxers in sweatsuits.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And then another method is called the Texas crutch. I don't like it as much. I use it with my ribs, but I don't use it with anything else. And they basically do that exact same process, but they do it with aluminum foil.
Okay.
I don't like that because I feel like the aluminum foil gets too hot and it gives it a little too much like of a zap, and it just sort of makes your meat not as consistent as you want it to be on each time.
But you say that moisture is key. So I thought this was really great. You keep a spray bottle nearby and you spray down the meats.
So that's right. What I'll do is after the first couple hours, first hour and a half, I'll have a different bottle for everything. Like for the beef, I'll have a beef stock with some Worcestershire sauce and some water to dilute it, and I'm spraying my beef with that. For my pork, I have some apple cider vinegar and some water, and I'll spray with that. For my turkey, I have a poultry stock.
For yourself, you have a wine bottle. So everybody has a bottle.
That's right. And especially like if you're doing ribs, if you want to wrap in foil, you can actually add some liquid halfway through as well if you want. You can add some butter, you can add some brown sugar, you can add a little bit of apple juice and wrap like that, and that sort of gives you that moisture as well.
Okay, and finally, before we go, I like that you say this. Leave your meat alone. Don't touch your meat.
Stop playing with your meat.
Stop playing with your meat.
There's that saying that they say in the South, if you're looking, you're not cooking. Just don't lift up the lid, don't fiddle around. Put your meat on, set yourself landmark times for you to check it, so that way you're only opening it at those landmark times to give it its spritz, to see how things are going. You close your lid, and then you're ready to go again. You keep opening your lid, your dinner guests are going to be waiting forever for you to...
Don't flip your lid.
Don't flip your lid.
Okay. Well, guys, I hope this was helpful for you. We are coasting into what looks to be a beautiful holiday weekend. And even if you're not watching this in May, maybe you're watching it in July or even September, these will stand up. We do have some great recipes from Kyle that will be on thewinesisters.com. Of course, if you'd like to subscribe to our newsletter, you should, because we always put out exclusive material to our subscribers and our subscribers only. Once again, thank you so much. We will see you next week. If you like this video, leave us a comment. Let us know what you're cooking this weekend. Have any questions for Kyle and any sort of smoking ideas? He will get back to you in the comments as well. So guys, hit subscribe, give us a like, leave us a comment, and have a very safe holiday weekend. Santé.
Great weekend, guys.
Cheers. Santé, everyone.